Hi, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, how are you today? Very good, very good. Alright, let's today continue talking about descriptive paragraphs. And last time we addressed some of the features of good descriptive writing. Today we continue and talking especially on describing places, or what we call this description in terms of a spatial order, that is to say describing a location or describing a place. It shows a spatial order, basically shows how people and objects are located, are situated, are arranged in a space, in an area or a scene. So how can we organize a place? How can we describe a place? We can describe it from different angles or from different perspectives. We can look at it from top to bottom. So we start from the top and then we go down to describe the bottom of that place. From outside of a location to the inside of a location. From left to right, or right to left. From near to far, or the other way around. From inside to outside, or the reverse of any of these orders, or any of these orders. Let's just look at this example of a paragraph where we describe a place. For instance, in Mr. Adams' classroom, we see a lot of interesting things. This is the topic sentence. It names the topic and it mentions or states the controlling idea. We see a lot of interesting things. To the left of the class, we see 10 posters in the colors of a rainbow. To the right, there is a black radio on top of the silver file cabinet. In the back, there is a huge blue curtain hanging on the wall, and in front of the class we see a green rectangular chalkboard. Indeed, this is the conclusion, indeed Mrs. Adams' classroom is very interesting. What we notice here are these sort of transitions indicating, describing a location. To the left, to the right, in the back, in the front, and so on. Alright? Okay. Let's just read this paragraph very quickly and decide how is the order, what is the order of the spatial order, in other words, for describing my favorite place to relax is a small cafe down the street from where I live. Look at it and decide what is the spatial order used in describing my favorite place, which is the cafe. Alright? Yes, please, very quickly. Alright, if we look at this paragraph, what is the spatial order used in describing my favorite cafe, my favorite place to relax? Yes, please.
Outside to inside.
From outside to inside. How do you know about this?
First, it started with the street.
With the scene of the street. For example, this cafe is on a small side street, and as soon as you see it, you are still outside. As soon as you see it, you feel like going Okay, so I'm still outside. Notice the perspective here of the writer. He is or she is in outside, not inside that cafe. There are 3 windows on the either side of the door, and each window has a small window box with brightly colored flowers. There is a small wooden door that opens into the cafe. Notice that I'm still outside the cafe. Opens into, not outside, out of the cafe. And as soon as you go in, you can see a dozen small tables all around the room. Okay, so from outside to inside of the cafe. I always like to sit at a small table in the corner near the front window. So I'm now moving from front to the back of the cafe. From here, from the front window, okay, I can look at the artwork on the walls and at the pretty green plant, hanging from the ceiling. So again, from top to bottom, more or less, with a strong cup of coffee and a good book, I feel very happy and relaxed in my favorite place. All right. So we started from outside to the inside, from the front to the back, and we can see clearly some description from top to bottom. All right. Okay. So what sort of prepositions or transitions that we can actually use in describing a place? We can think of these one, and we should use them whenever we feel like writing or describing a place. In front of, and back of, behind, on top of the room, for example, on the bottom of something, next to, above, below, underneath, across, to the right, to the left, in the middle of something, across, around, between, and behind. So these are some transitions, some prepositions and prepositional phrases that we can use to describe or locate things in space. All right? All right. Now, whenever we describe something, we have to start writing a descriptive paragraph. We have to write a topic sentence, and this is very important. Like we said before, it has to have 2 things: naming the topic and specifying the controlling idea. So the topic sentence of a descriptive paragraph should name the topic, all right? And the controlling idea should give your what we call overall impression, your central idea, why you are writing or why are you describing this place. For example, my bedroom is my refuge from the outside world. What is the controlling idea? How it is my shelter, how it is my refuge from, that is to say, it's a safe, secure place for me. For example, the campus of our university is like a small city. Or the cafeteria at lunchtime is the school's social center. So we have here as a topic sentence naming the topic, my bedroom, the campus, the cafeteria, and then we also have the controlling idea specifying your overall idea, your overall impression of that place that you're writing about. Okay? All right. Now let's just start into the habit of writing and thinking about describing places. Now this is a topic sentence, and what I'd like you to do is to give some details for what you would think, what you would include in describing or talking about this topic sentence. The park near my house is full of activity on a sunny weekend afternoon. Okay, so I'd like you to give me some details as to what you would include for this topic sentence. Okay, the park near my house is full of activity on a sunny weekend afternoon. What would you include as details for this topic sentence? Yes, please. So you can describe what people are doing, what things are there in that place, and so on. Plants, gardens, children, So a lot of things that you can talk about. What sort of details you will include in describing this place? All right, let's see what sort of details that would you use to describe this place, this park that is full of life, that is full of activity. Yes, please.
A lot of families go there to have
So,
more relaxed.
very nice. There are a lot of families going there with their children in that park. Very nice. Yes, please.
It also has a pool.
There is a pool. There is a big or a large swimming pool in the middle, for example, where children and people are swimming and having fun. Very nice. Yes, please.
The children can play in the back of the garden.
All right. So there are children playing in the back or in around the corner of the park. Very nice.
There is a pool who make people happy.
There is a clown. You mean there is a clown who is, for instance, playing with the children, making them laugh and having fun. Yes, please.
In the middle of the park are the swings and slides where kids are the most loudest.
Very nice. There are lots of children playing on the swings and the slides and having fun. Yes, please.
There's many types of flowers and trees in that park.
There are many flowers and green plants that are in the park. And finally,
The attractive flowers in the sides of park feel you refreshed all the time.
very nice. The nice scenery, okay, where lots of flowers and plants and trees are making people having fun and enjoying the beautiful park. All right, so these are some nice ideas that we can include in describing a place. Remember, always have some kind of an order where you can describe a place. So you can start from the front to the back, from the right to the left, and so on. Okay, so always have this kind of organization because this is very important. It makes your writing neat and well organized. All right, let's see. All right, now we're going to do this writing activity. All right, and I'd like you to think about completing this paragraph. For example, let's see the paragraph here. My mother's kitchen is not very big, but it is warm and comfortable. What is the controlling idea here? That it is warm and comfortable. So I'm going to describe my mother's kitchen. What it is like. What is it like? Okay. What are the different things in this kitchen? All right. You can start describing the front to the back, right to the left, top to bottom, and whatever organization that you think is suitable. Talk about the different things that you can see. Talk about the activity of your mother or your family in this kitchen and so on. Now the conclusion is, now I live far away, but I often think about my mother's kitchen. All right. So let's spend like 5 minutes trying to complete this paragraph, talking about my mother's kitchen. Very long sentence, just 1, 2 or 3 sentences. All right, let's see. Let's just get some ideas, some answers of your, some examples of your writings. Yes, please.
Can I take?
You just read it very quickly, please.
My mother's kitchen is not very big, but it's warm and comfortable. I remember when my mother started cooking, the whole family were standing behind her. You can find a lot of things in this small kitchen. The fridge next to the wash machine, the oven is opposite of the door. The smell of the hair cooking is tasty, and I remember it all the time.
I always remember it, or I remember it all the time. Very, very nice. So we saw some description of some things in the kitchen. Who would like to have a go at and show and just let's listen to you, please.
And my mother's kitchen is not very big, but it's warm and comfortable. To the left lies a dining table made of light brown wood, and to the right resides our fridge. And facing to the front is a sink with 2 counters on either side.
Very nice. And you will continue completing this paragraph. Let's see how I completed this paragraph. My mother's kitchen is not very big, but it is warm and comfortable. On the left side, there is a nice small fridge with some family pictures placed on the fridge door. To the right, there is a small round table with 4 wooden chairs. In the left corner of the kitchen stands the food cabinet, which has my mother's favorite spices and utensils. My mother, my brother and I used to sit on the chairs around the table watching my mother's cooking. We liked learning new things, talking and making delicious food. But now I live far away, but I often think about my mother's kitchen. So what we see here, what is the order here? From left to the right, and again, generally from the left corner, from left to the right, and what we see somewhere here is in the middle. And we have only not only places describing things in a place, but also describing how I felt about the kitchen, what we did in that kitchen in the times gone by. All right? All right. So whenever you, and this is going to be homework for you next time, whenever we want to describe a place, we have to talk about where is this place. How big is it, for instance? How warm or cold is this place? How does the place make you feel, for example? What things you can see in that a place? What colors do you see? What smells do you smell? What sounds do you hear? And so on. So these are some ideas, some questions, just to give you some idea about how to describe a place. Is this clear?
Yes.
All right. And I'll talk about this later. But now we move on to talk about describing people. Whenever we describe a person, for example, what sort of things that we describe? We describe his or her age, his height, for instance, his color of the skin, for instance, his hair, his eyes, some facial features, his personality, and probably his religious or political affiliation if that's necessary, and so on. Let's look at some of the things that we can use in describing people and some of the adjectives that can be used to describe a person. For example, we can describe his or her age. For example, she is 21 years old. He is or she is a young woman. He is an elderly man, for example, or an elderly woman, for example. He is an old person, or an old man or woman. She is middle-aged, okay? Or he is in his mid-30s, in his mid-50s, in his mid-20s, and so on. She is in her late 20s, late 40s, late 80s, and so on. We can look at the hair, for example, the color of the hair, dark, blonde, gray. We can look at the length of the hair, for example, straight, short, long, curly, bald. He is bald, no hair, wavy, and so on. We can look at the eyes, for example, the color of the eyes, blue, dark, brown, green, and so on. Shape of the eyes, for example, large eyes, round eyes, almond shape eyes, and so on. We can look at the height, how tall a person is, for example. She is tall, for example. He is short, she is short. He is 180 centimeters tall, for example. All right? She is an average person, okay, an average height, for example. We can describe the facial features, for instance. We can look at smooth face, wrinkled face, thin face. We can look at the eyebrows, okay, for example, bushy eyebrows. For example, we can look at the body, for example, fat, thin, although I don't prefer to use the word fat, but thin, chubby, well-built, and so on, athletic, for example. And finally, we can look at the personality. For example, she is really optimistic. He is really kind, angry, considerate, thoughtful, happy, cheerful, annoying person, helpful person, and so on. So these are some physical appearance, some sort of appearance, all right? And also we can look at the personality of that person, okay? All right. Now, let us just do this very quick activity and try to fill in the missing with some words from the list here describing Mr. Khalil. Okay? Yes, please. All right, are we done? Yes, please. Let's see. Khalil. Yes, please. Here.
Khalil is an old man.
Yes, he's an old man in his mid
60s.
All right. All right. Would like to continue. His face is
His face is thin and round.
thin and
round.
wrinkled.
Yes.
Wrinkled. His face is thin and wrinkled. Wrinkled. All right. Not straight. Wrinkled. Okay, because of old age. All right. Yes, please.
His hair is bushy and his eyebrows are green. No.
That would be spooky. All right. His hair is short. Okay. His hair is short and the eyebrows are bushy. They're not organized. They're sort of, all over this place. Yes, please.
Noor, on the other hand, is in her late 20s.
20s, yes. She's in her late 20s. She has straight hair
And the green eyes.
and green eyes. Yes, green eyes. Green and round eyes. All right. Round and green eyes. Round green eyes. She's approximately 100 centimeters tall. All right. So these are some physical sort of characteristics of Noura and Khalil. Okay. So remember these things that we use to describe people. Okay. All right. Now let's look at an example of what describing a place should look like. Remember, whenever we describe a place, we look at his or her characteristics, physical appearance, and also some of the things about his personality and what he did or what he or she did in his life. For example, Jack Collins is the most amazing person I have ever met. He came to my school and talked about his difficult life in prison. He was in prison for 15 years. He made a lot of mistakes when he was young, but now he has changed his life. He saw a lot of violence in prison, so he uses his experience to help high school students. Jack is tall and strong and looks a little scary, like Mr. Khalil. Okay. The thing I remember most about him is his sensitive personality. Okay, he is really kind and wants to help young people. In a word, in short, in conclusion, I've never met anyone like Jack before. So here we talked about some of the things that he did in his life, his personality and his physical appearance. Okay, now let's conclude with this activity. I'd like you to think about your grandfather. Okay, let's look at this topic sentence. My grandfather is a great person who often had a difficult life when he was my grandfather is a great person who had a difficult life when he was young. Okay, there's some mistake here in writing the topic sentence. My grandfather is a great person who had a difficult life when he was young. Let's see the conclusion. In short, spending time with my grandfather is always great, as I can learn many things from his stories. What I'd like you to do now is very quickly write a description of your father. Start with how he looks, if you want, and then talk about his personality and what he did in his life. Very briefly, please. and other things, okay? His personality, for instance. So a lot of things that you can talk about when you want to write to describe your grandfather. Chin. His back was short, long beard or short beard. Chin, a beard. But we don't need to use commas between sentences. We talked about this. Full stop means and, in addition, moreover. So remember these connectors, but don't use commas between sentences because this will be something we talked about as comma splice, right? Full stop. This hair is short and his eyes are blue, for example. He is very tall and thin or slim, okay? Or a little bit chubby, and so on. All right? Got a mustache, okay? Not a short mustache, just a mustache, okay? Alright, full stop. He is tall and thin, okay? Very nice. My father is on his legs, or is in his legs, always, or in his legs. Full stop. Full stop. He has dark gray hair. Full stop. Not gray hair. Full stop. His eyes are dark green. Full stop. Don't use commas. We talked about this. This will be a commas. Full stop. In addition, not he is tall and slim, but he has and he has a great personality. Don't use just the commas. This is not in-depth writing as we talked about. It's a brown eye واحدة ولا اثنتين؟ brown. He is 82 years old. Okay? But I need to see sentences. This is a very long sentence. Okay? Just use full stop squareness. Grandfather is really kind. He's a really kind person. Okay? Here. Two. Square. Or R. Okay? Alright, let's see. Get to hear some examples of your writing. Yes, at the back. Here, please. Okay. And he's got a lot of experiences and life experience. Very nice. Yes, please. Yes.
He told us, me and my brothers and sisters, about his list for the job, but he didn't mind to be successful unless he had no money.
Very good. All right. Very nice. Yes, please.
He had a light body because he suffers a lot in diaspora and missed 2 daughters. In addition, he has a long chin with the blue eyes and white skin. He's very beautiful, but the difficulties of life make him seem very old. He's a wisdom man, and that make him maybe a lot of difficulties.
That make him what? Okay, withstood a lot of things, who bore a lot of hardships. Very good. Yes, Iman, over there, please.
My father is a very symmetric man. He is very tall and slim. His hair is short and neat. In addition, my father is a very great teacher. He is sympathized to our students.
To his students. Very nice. Yes, please.
He is tall and strong, although his age is 73, but he has a huge energy to go shopping, watch TV, reading a newspaper, and he always collects us and starts saying story. We enjoy a lot. In addition, he has a brown eyes and white hair, so he's a really kind person.
So he is a really kind person. Let's see an example of what I did here to describe my grandfather. My grandfather is a great person who often told the stories about the difficult life he had when he was young. He is 94 years old, but his voice is still strong and clear. He speaks quietly and slowly when he tells the stories. His life was difficult when he was young. His family didn't have much money, so he worked hard to support him. So even though his life was not easy, he's still positive and optimistic personality. All right. In short, spending time with my father is always great, as I can learn a lot of things or many things from his story. So over here we did some description of what he looks like, then about his life, and then about his personality and what he did for us. All right. So this is in general what we need to include in describing people. All right. Looking at the age, the height, the hair, facial expressions, and also personality and qualities that people have. All right. Okay. Is this clear? Alright, now next time we'll talk about adjectives and how can we use adjectives to describe or in describing people. In the meantime, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time, inshallah.